Well, hello there. This is Father Dominic at Holy Trinity in Beaverton. Although, of course, I'm not. I'm at Forest Park. And I thought I would talk today about Halloween. Since it's a seasonable topic, I thought I could walk here and you could see a little bit of this Halloween-ish background, I guess. I don't know. Thought maybe go to a farm where there's pumpkins, but that seemed a bit of a sketchy prospect. So here I am, and I thought it was worth this week talking about a little bit what Halloween is, what it's not, and controversy, because surprisingly there is controversy around Halloween. I never really heard about that when I was young, but I guess it's a thing now. And there's a sort of an idea out there, apparently, that Halloween is descended from some pagan Celtic festival called Samhain. And it's not spelled like that. You have to look up the spelling, but that's the way you pronounce it. And this is kind of propagated both by kind of fundamentalist Christians as well as sort of neo-pagan types. And that's kind of interesting because both fundamentalist Christianity and neo-paganism are attempts to reinvent non-existent religions. Right, because fundamentalist Christians believe that they're somehow going back to some primordial Christianity. And the neo-pagans believe they're returning to some kind of a primordial, perfect, green, nature-loving, wonderful, caring, crunchy paganism that, of course, never existed. Paganism was quite brutal and nasty, and a lot of these people wouldn't last very long at all if they were to be introduced to true original pre-Christian pagans. So both of these people, they have their kind of interesting religions, and they both have this idea that Halloween is this sort of, continuation of a pagan feast, and that we should either not participate in that if we're Christians, or we should participate in that if we're pagans. And the reality is that Halloween is a Christian celebration. Halloween comes from the word All Hallows Eve, the Feast of All Saints, the evening of the Feast of All Saints. And that was the celebration. And there were various traditions that went along with it, various local customs, and we've kind of adopted some of those and mixed them together, mostly the ones that came from England, some of the ones that came from Ireland, and they mixed in various things, and all sorts of common folklorish traditions. But the fact is, there is no pure primordial Christianity. Just like you can't recreate paganism. If you did, you wouldn't like it. So you can't recreate some non-existent pure Christianity that's basically a sort of an Americanism or a Western Europeanism projected back into a non-existent past, in which the people of the first century in Palestine were some sort of Bible Christians, and which of course they weren't, because they didn't have a Bible. So it's hard to be a Bible Christian if you don't have a Bible, because the church put the Bible together. Early Christians did not have the Bible, so they could not be Bible Christians. What they had was the church, because they were actually Catholics. So modern Protestants wouldn't be very happy to go back to the first century, where they would find Christians celebrating a Catholic Mass and following Catholic bishops and Catholic priests and Catholic deacons. All of these institutions appear extremely early and are all a part of the church. Protestantism is a sort of a recreation of an imaginary past. And so the reality of the church is that we have always had all of these elements that we've taken from the surrounding cultures, from the surrounding peoples in which Christianity came in contact with, and we've incorporated those into our faith, and we've baptized those. So even if Halloween were a celebration that descended from something like Samhain, and I'll put a video in the description, a little link in the description to a video that shows you exactly how it is not, and how that's just kind of an outdated myth. Even if Halloween were descended from that celebration, that really wouldn't be a problem either. Lots of elements in our Christian tradition are taken from pre-Christian elements and baptized, like I said. And that's one of the beautiful things. I mean, that's what St. Patrick did. That's how he converted Ireland. He didn't come in and wipe away all people's traditions and try to force them into some, weird new culture or tradition. He entered into their traditions. He entered into them from the inside, and he baptized them, right? He took their high places, which were sort of the places where Druids would worship and celebrate their various rites, and he built sanctuaries on them. I've climbed up to those places and I've visited them, and they're dedicated to various saints. And he took their sort of low places, their wells, where they thought there were various spirits in these wells, and he made them into baptismal pools in which, you wouldn't go into the pool to encounter the spirits, you would go to receive new life in Christ. So he took these elements of these cultures and baptized them and incorporated them, brought them into our tradition. And so that's what Christianity has always done. So we're not threatened by these sort of pre-Christian practices that we've been able to incorporate in a good and beautiful and healthy way. And the way that we do that is through the church. We have a church. We have authority that has been left to us by Jesus Christ through his representatives on earth, through the successors of the apostles, and through their head, the successor of Peter, who is the head of the College of the Apostles. And Pope Leo descends in direct line from Peter the Apostle and has received that succession and that authority, and helps together with the whole church and with the College of the Bishops to guide and direct us. So we don't have to worry that we're accidentally celebrating some kind of a pagan rite, or we're accidentally participating in witchcraft or something. As long as we follow the guidance of the church, and as long as we don't want to practice witchcraft, and as long as we don't intentionally, represent or celebrate things that are evil, it would be wrong to, wear costumes or to do things that would celebrate or glorify evil. As long as we're not doing that, then all these things are harmless. They can be harmless and good, and we don't have to worry about them, because we don't live in an imaginary past, and we don't live in a church in which we're trying to recreate that imaginary past. We live in the church of the present, and this church of the present has a place for all these things, and we can enjoy them, celebrate them, participate in them, and maintain our belief and our center in our faith in Jesus Christ. So hopefully that's a little bit of a helpful reflection, maybe, as we enter into this time, which is kind of a marvelous time. Can be a fun time, can be a good time, can be a time to celebrate family, can be a time to have fun, and above all, hopefully, can be a time to remember the Christian roots of this celebration. Remember that it's a feast of all the saints. Remember that we are called to be saints. That was sort of our way when I was growing up, that we would celebrate Halloween, is we would have all saints parties, which we would dress up as all sorts of saints. And there's all kinds of saints. You can pretty much dress as anything. But it was a sort of a reminder that we're dressing up as what we want to be. And we're learning about these saints that we dress up as, so that we can model our life on theirs, because they modeled their life on Jesus Christ. And that is the point of everything that we do. So God bless you. Take care and have a happy Halloween, and I will see you again soon.